Good afternoon, Representative Bracy-Davis. It is wonderful having you here. This effort, we're asking you to introduce yourself. Now, everyone I would swear knows you, but please introduce yourself and tell them which district you represent.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm State Representative LaVon Bracy-Davis. I very proudly represent the fantastic and the fabulous House District 40. House District 40 includes Pine Hills, Ocoee, College Park, Rosemont, the Claricona area, Mercy Drive, the fairgrounds, so a lot of West Orange County.
A
Um,
lot of the Caribbean district as
Absolutely,
well. Mhm.
absolutely. Really thankful for the honor and privilege of being able to represent this district. I come from a family of public servants, a family who has always thought that service is the rent we pay for the space we occupy. So, um, 2.5 years ago, I decided, you know what? There's some issues, some problems, and some concerns that I don't necessarily like. And I'm one of those people that I don't just sit and talk about it. I don't just sit and get on Facebook and social media and blog about it. But as Michelle Obama says, I wanted to do something. So here I am, 2 years later, after finishing my freshman term as a legislator, and I am on the ballot for reelection.
All right. So tell us, like, because again, this series is meant to educate our folks about why you are the person who really impacts a lot of their day-to-day life. And then we're also saying to those who are looking at this from wider across Florida, do you guys understand that your state reps essentially can make your life easy or hard within
Right.
this state? And so I'm hoping that folks from even outside might realize, wait a second, if I have an advocate here, I need to donate to this campaign. So if you could give us an example.
Sure. I believe that every Floridian has the right to be healthy, prosperous, and safe. Every Floridian. And when I say every, I don't mean certain Floridians. I don't mean Floridians that belong to certain cultural groups or certain ethnicities. I mean every Floridian, whether you're black, white, whatever religion you subscribe to, and wherever you are socioeconomically, you have the right to be healthy, prosperous, and safe.
Mhm.
And all too often, there's such a big divide between the haves and the have-nots, between the marginalized and the millionaires. And so I decided to put a voice to those who perhaps are underserved or underrepresented or sidelined. Those My district is a majority minority district. What does that mean? While my district is filled with minorities and folks that don't represent perhaps the conventional voter, and I love that. I love representing the Gen Zers and the LGBTQs and those that have been forgotten. And I love representing people of color. I'm grateful for that opportunity to be able to be their voice. And so what I've done is I've legislated through the lens of the people that I represent. The number one issue, let me be very clear, the number one issue in my district is affordability. And so when you talk about the Caribbean culture, or you talk about uh, the different issues with different cultures or different people, the number one issue is affordability, and that's across the board. It's really hard and really expensive to be a Floridian right now. Homeowners will tell you, right? I see you.
Yes.
Homeowners will tell you that their property insurance has doubled. And here's the thing. Um, I am not just a state representative, I'm also my own constituent. So when I hear you tell me that your property insurance has doubled, mine has too, right? And because I'm a part of the working class, when I went to Tallahassee and I saw that we were given a bailout to insurance companies instead of a bailout to people who are not able to deal with these high insurance costs, I fought against it. I got on the House floor and called it just what it is. We're giving the powerful a bailout instead of the people.
Mhm.
So that's one of the main issues that I'm dealing with right now is inflation and property insurance. Another thing is education. The responsibility of our state legislators per the Florida Constitution is to fully fund public education. Now, my biggest issue with this is I have no problem with private schools. I have no problem if you decide to send your children to a private school. That's your choice.
Mhm.
However, the resources for the state of Florida, based on the Florida Constitution, should be going to public education. And in my district, I had a school last year that started with 16 permanent subs because they did not have the teachers to fill those positions. That's problematic, especially right now. Anybody can get a voucher to go to a private school. It doesn't deal with money anymore or how much you make. Anybody can go to private school, and I think you should have the right to go to private school if you want to, but you shouldn't be taking money out of the public education system to go to the private school system when the Constitution says that we are supposed to fully fund public education. So those are just some simple examples of how I have to constantly remind my colleagues in the legislature what our responsibility is, and that is to the people, not the powerful.
Let me just say this. We have done this series, and we've interviewed folks from Pensacola to St. Augustine. Every elected official, not no, every person that has come on here has brought up the insurance
Hmm.
rates and affordability.
Yeah,
And even out in the streets, Floridians cannot afford to live in Florida
right.
anymore. I mean, that's just the truth.
So I suggested when the Republicans, and let me just back just a little bit. Um, I'm sure your listeners don't need a civic lesson, but we know how we are divided politically in the state of Florida. You have two major parties, Republicans and Democrats. Right now, the state legislature is at a super minority when it comes to the Democrats, meaning there are a lot more Republicans than there are Democrats. And so
Mhm.
that oftentimes makes it challenging for advocacy and advocates such as myself when we are in the minority. I mean, that doesn't mean I don't talk. That doesn't mean I don't speak up. And that does not mean I don't fight. But it's oftentimes much harder to get things accomplished. So when I learned that the Republicans were trying to give a bailout to insurance companies, myself and some of my Democratic colleagues said, well, okay, this is going to happen. Let's see if we can at least make it a little better. Let's see if we can offer an amendment that says not only do we bail out the insurance companies, but we also incentivize or give a subsidy to the people. You know, if I can prove, for instance, if I can prove that my insurance has gone up by 25%, 50%, some people 75%, the government and the state of Florida gives me some kind of subsidy, you remember, or some kind of stimulus. Remember those
Mhm.
stimulus packages that came from the federal government during COVID? That was one of the suggestions that kind of helped. We were going to bail out the insurance companies, don't forget the
Yeah.
people. Well, that fell on deaf ears, but that was one of the suggestions that we said, you know, because while I'm thankful for State Farm and Art and Nationwide and Allstate and all of those folks, those CEOs are doing fine, right?
Yeah.
Financially, they're doing fine. But it's the people that are trying to make ends meet. So those were one of the suggestions that we offered as a Democratic Party. We did some polling. The people actually agreed with us, even some people on the other side,
Okay.
because these are not just issues. All Republicans aren't rich, right? So these are not just issues that deal with party lines. These are issues that deal with people.
Correct.
Um, but those that are in power decided not to do that, not to help people get money, additional money in their pockets, and it was very unfortunate.
Well, that's again why we're doing this so that people understand that, hey, like truly, you've got to change the entire scale of the folks up there or put enough people to where it is competitive and there's real argument and discussion and compromise that
Mhm.
happens in order to pass a bill,
Yeah.
you
Now,
know.
I have had the opportunity to pass several pieces of legislation, and I'm really grateful for that. Especially again, describing the climate, the political climate in which we are right now. I'm thankful for the opportunity to pass. I passed the Tyrese Sampson Act, which, if you remember, a couple years ago, a young man was visiting here. With his football team, and he got on a ride on International Drive, and he fell to his death on the ride. So I passed a
Mhm.
bill with Senator Thompson that had to do with ride safety and making sure that our rides were more safe. So I was really proud of that. Also, I had the opportunity to expand the Ocoee Scholarship. I am a resident, a very proud resident of Ocoee. A couple years ago, the legislature enacted a piece of legislation that allowed for residents of the of or descendants of the Ocoee massacre and African American residents of Ocoee to get a scholarship as a result of the horrific Ocoee massacre that happened over 100 years ago. Well, what I learned is a lot of students, a number of students that were going to historically Black colleges and universities, were not able to take advantage of this scholarship because the scholarship only allowed for students who were going to state schools. Well, three of our HBCUs are private. So we
Yeah,
were able to expand that. I'm very, very proud of that. We were able to
very
expand that.
nice.
Yeah. And then also one other thing as it relates to the African American community and perhaps the Caribbean community is we were able to pass a piece of legislation as it relates to children's initiative. And I'm sure you may have heard of Paramore Kid Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are other kid zones in Central Florida area. There was Mercy Drive. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were able to expand the Paramore Kid Zone to include Mercy Drive and Inglewood, which is a
Okay.
heavily Hispanic population. So we
Mm-hmm.
were able to expand that so that
Nice.
all of these different areas and neighborhoods are able to get the resources, the college prep, the arts and culture, and all the wonderful things that these programs help with. So while we are in a minority, I'm still able to get some things done.
You're still fighting, and
Oh
and
yeah.
and and listen, I have to give a big shout out to you because wherever you go, you fight, and I know definitely you learned
Mhm.
that from your parents. But you you definitely keep advancing and pushing for the doors to open to the disadvantaged. That's definitely something we've seen from you across the board. I know that we missed you like heck when you left Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, I
And I know you probably
know.
still get calls from everybody up to now, but you opened the door there still, right? And so everyone feels a sense that they have the access,
Mhm.
and so definitely thank you for continuing that work. And you, of course, as I told you, as per always, you have our full support always, Caribbean American Passport. Because again, we see you go above and beyond, your office, in terms of even leadership throughout this state. I see you wearing the Harris earrings, so I know working hard. I love it. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
it.
Because it's not just about me. It's not just about my seat and the work that I'm doing in House District 40. I believe change is on the horizon and it's going to start at the top of the ticket. And I am just so excited to be a part and during this time where history is about to be made. And so I'm thankful for House District 40 and the 179,000 people that I represent, but I'm also thankful for the opportunity to elect our first African American female president. So, I mean, we're in exciting times, my friend.
Yes, we sure are. So
Mhm.
as we close, tell folks how they could support you in this race.
Yes, absolutely. You can go to my website. It is my full name, LaVonBracy-Davis.com. I would love your support. Also, I'm very active on social media. You can just type in my name, LaVon Bracy-Davis, or Representative LaVon Bracy-Davis. My team is extremely responsive. So if you have any questions or concerns, I always tell people to please hold me accountable. I don't just represent Democrats. I represent the people of House District 40. So whether I agree with your policy, whether I agree with your mindset, I am a leader who listens. I always have an open door policy. I meet with constituents. I love having Zoom calls and talking with constituents. I love town hall meetings. This is not just about campaigning. I am your representative. I am your mouthpiece. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. I like to tell people that I am pro-choice. I am pro-education. I am pro-public education. I am pro-DEI. I am pro-women's reproductive health care. I am pro-people. I am pro-community. I'm pro-books. I am
Mm,
pro-history. I am pro-Black history. So you might as well send this pro back to Tallahassee. And
love it. I love it. So, guys, as you're listening, remember send this pro back to South Africa to work for us.
to work for you and work for the people. Look, I'm State Representative LaVon Bracy-Davis, and I approve this message.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you for taking time out today. We will come back to you before the election's over. We'll keep doing
Sure,
this. As you have events and stuff, share it with us. We want to share it
sure.
out. We're going full force from here on out. Again, following in your footsteps, we have to be the change we want to see. And we realize folks aren't connected. We'll connect them.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor. Bye.
Lovely.